Hey everyone, my name is Quinton.
Our power is in our voice. Our power, it's in our thoughts. Our power is in our actions. Our power, it's already innate in who we are. We are the earth. We are the sky. We are the trees. We are our ancestors. We are the future generations. We are all that is. Our power is in our voice. Our power, it's in our thoughts. Our power is in our actions. Our power, it's already innate in who we are. We are the earth. We are the sky. We are the trees. We are our ancestors. We are the future generations. We are all that is.
Welcome back to day 4 of the People's Reset 2026. If you're in the room and you're awake, make some noise. Hey, that's good noise for. We're having a slow start this morning because we had who was at the dinner last night dancing their night away? A good amount of people. It was a fun time. Thank you everybody at home who's tuned in. This is day 4 of the People's Reset 2026. Today we're focused on empowering technology. This is one of my favorite themes, and I've said this before. Unfortunately, this tends to be the lowest attended day of the event for whatever reason. Even though everybody's here, some people I think that, I guess technology is either over their heads or I don't really care about computers. Or does anybody feel like that? Like they're kind of like specifically digital technology is sort of freaks you out or just over your head or whatever. I want to invite you to hear as much of today's talks as possible. For one reason is that the only way you're going to get better with technology is to try to learn more about it, right? Not to be intimidated by it, but also under that theme of empowering technology, it's not just digital technology we're going to be talking about today. We do have our first presenter is going to be talking about Zano, which is a privacy crypto, which I do think has very good value. He'll be talking all about that. We're going to be hearing about water filtration systems, the second talk. So that's another type of technology, right? So you can kind of see when we say empowering technology, it's not just our digital tools, our computers, our phones, laptops, things like that. That's part of it, but also spiritual technology. You guys are in for a really big treat this evening. Our closing talk, Hakeem Anwar of Above Phone is going to be talking about human design, for anybody who's familiar with that, and like why he thinks that's a type of technology we should be thinking about as well. So when we say empowering technology, yes, you will be hearing about crypto. You'll be hearing about decentralized finance from Dave this afternoon. You'll be hearing about EMFs, the daylight computer from Tristan later on as well. But each of the speakers, just like with all of our themes, are going to interpret that in different ways. What does empowering technology mean? For the digital world, it means how can we use tools like phones and computers and all the devices we have that do respect our privacy? Who here cares about privacy, values your privacy? Who also recognizes that we live in a world where privacy is increasingly difficult to maintain and that the younger generations don't even really understand the necessity of privacy because I grew up sort of growing like in the early 20s, started posting on Facebook. I probably share more than some of you a little older than me. They're like, whoa, you guys share too much. The people after me, they don't even have any perception of kind of maybe a private life because they grew up with the phones in the hand, with doing everything on social media. So when you talk to some of the younger generation and you mention things like privacy, a lot of it goes over their head. They don't really understand why it's necessary. So to me and to this event, it's very important that we work to preserve privacy. And it's also privacy is very connected to liberty and freedom as well. So we want digital tools that respect our privacy. We want digital tools that don't damage us, like the daylight computer. They have no blue light. They're trying to protect us. We want tools that can try to limit and reduce our EMFs. And speaking of that, if you guys see our lovely sign made by our kids at the Freedom Families Connection, please switch your phone to airplane mode. They put vibrate, but I would say even turn it off if you don't really need it, so we can just reduce the amount of EMFs in this room and in this space. Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, let's show that sign on there if we can get it there at all, just to show the folks at home. And if you're at home, you can, no, you can't turn your device off, I guess, because you can't watch us that way. So keep your device on. Don't turn your airplane mode on at home. But when you go to bed tonight, unplug your stuff, rewire your house if you can. That's a whole nother thing. Who started that journey at home? Rewiring the home, plugging in, at least unplugging the Wi-Fi when you go to sleep at night. And then other types of technology. We got health technology, right? So there are people exploring forms of tech that can, again, reduce EMFs, that can heal the body. There's all types of forms of technology. So that's what today is about. So you guys ready for that? All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for giving us your full attention. I will let everybody know ahead of time. Unfortunately today, and I say unfortunately because we value all of our Spanish speakers, but all of today is in English. So if you do not speak English, this will be a headset day for you. And the first 3 talks this morning are virtual because, again, weather changes. Some people end up not being able to make it. So we're going to go ahead and go to our first pre-recorded presentation from Quentin van Velzen of the Zano project. And he's going to get you guys all informed about why this is a valuable tool. So let's go ahead and go to Quentin's presentation.
I am the head of marketing and growth of the Zano project. And today I'm very excited to tell you all about Zano, and especially confidential assets, which is a special type of technology that we developed. So most blockchains suffer from the same problem, which is on-chain nudity. It's a problem nobody really talks about. I think people should really address this issue more. So what is the issue here? Transparent transactions look like this. You see the wallet address that was involved, where the transaction came from, where it went, the amount, the asset type. Basically, everyone sees everything. Forever, this lives on the blockchain explorer for anyone to see. Your wallet balances are exposed, counterparties are visible. And of course, this is a huge security risk. It makes you a target for theft, wrench attacks. And also, the fungibility is broken of these assets. If an asset is used for illicit activities, then certain exchanges or services will say, hey, I don't want this asset because it was used for this and that, and therefore that asset itself, that coin itself, becomes worth less than any of the other bitcoins, for example. So the fungibility is broken. Now, Zano could fix that. What is Zano? Zano is a privacy-first layer 1 blockchain, and its core features are privacy by default for all transactions, hybrid proof-of-work, proof-of-stake consensus algorithm, which results in a very optimized security for the blockchain. The cost of an attack becomes extremely high, and therefore an attack becomes simply infeasible. We have a confidential assets framework, so anyone can release their own privacy tokens on top of the Zano blockchain. And all fees are burned. So the more the Zano ecosystem becomes used, the more Zano coins get burned, and potentially this could make our supply deflationary over time. Zano isn't new. It's been around for a while. Very unknown, I would say, still. So we're working on that brand identity and making it like a household name throughout crypto. But we're old. Development of Zano's code base began already over a decade ago. The mainnet of Zano is live since 2019. A very important hard fork happened in 2024. I'll get into that in a bit. And also about what is happening right now and what happened last year. Zano was founded by Andrei Sabolnikov. He's the lead developer of Zano, and he was the lead developer of the CryptoNode code base that powers Monero today and many other private cryptocurrencies. So what happened in March 2024? Well, that was the Zarknam hard fork, and it brought a lot of exciting updates to the Zano blockchain. Namely, proof of stake with hidden amounts. Basically, Your staking rewards now remain private while maintaining network security. How that works with traditional proof of stake is that you basically reveal the amount that you're staking for the network to validate how much your stake is in the network. But that doesn't have to happen anymore because Zarknum changes that. Other things that Zarknum brought to the table are confidential assets. Like I said, those are privacy tokens that anyone can create. And basically, they are a framework for private tokens, stablecoins, NFTs, wrapped assets of existing assets. So they can be used for a lot of use cases. Also, the privacy of Zano was upgraded. We already had ring signatures and stealth addresses, but hidden amounts were added. So basically, now our privacy is on par with Monero. And of course, fee burning was added as well. So, what makes confidential assets different? Well, on transparent blockchains, you can see a lot of data. So you can see who transferred, the amount they transferred, the asset that they transferred, and to who they transferred. And with Zano's confidential assets, you cannot see that data. You cannot see anything. In fact, you can't see the sender, you can't see the receiver, you can't see the amount transacted, you don't even see the asset type that was transacted. So everything is hidden. All you can see is that a transaction happened on the blockchain. So yeah, those are the 4 layers of privacy that we have. All the assets, they mix together, which strengthens the overall privacy. So it's a shared anonymity set. So it's not that each asset has its own privacy pool, but they're all mixed together on basically one big pile, strengthening the overall privacy. Indistinguishable transactions. Observers can tell Zano transactions from stablecoin transactions or wrapped asset transactions or even NFT transactions. All transactions look the exact same for any outside observer. Privacy is by design on Zano. It's at protocol level, not bolted on. It's built from the ground up by default. So how are your assets protected? Well, hidden sender, hidden receiver, hidden amounts, hidden asset type. I actually already told you that, so we can actually just skip this one. So how do confidential assets look like in action? Because actually in 2025, a lot of real-world applications came to life. So now we actually have a lot of examples of how confidential assets technology can be used in the real world today. For example, Freedom Dollar. I'll tell you a little bit about Freedom Dollar. I'll tell you about confidential layer. I will tell you about Zano Trade. And lastly, I will tell you about Obscura. So let's get into the classic problem that stablecoins experience and how Freedom Dollar fixes this. Stablecoins have a privacy problem, a giant privacy problem. You have dollar stability, but at the cost of financial freedom because of the transparency. You have zero privacy. Every USDT and USDC transaction is publicly visible for anyone to see. There's centralized control involved. Issuers can freeze funds and demand QIC. For example, the Tether Foundation can that. They can just freeze your assets whenever they want to, and then they can say that you need to do QIC before your funds get unlocked. Basically, it's a CBDC, it's programmable money. So it's a huge risk for the end user, of course. There's the censorship risk, transactions can be blocked at any time. What is the dilemma? The dilemma is that if you want stable value, you have to give up your financial freedom. You either have dollar stability or financial privacy by using Zano, Monero, Zcash until now. Right? Because now we have privacy stablecoins that exist, and that fixes and changes everything. So what is Freedom Dollar? Freedom Dollar is a stablecoin without surveillance. It has provable reserves, 8 million plus value, USD value. In Zano coins they have in their reserves. The coverage ratio is about 1.38 at the moment of recording this. It fluctuates a little bit depending on the price of Zano, of course, and how many FUSD tokens are issued. You can actually already use it at more than 100 supermarkets across Europe, mainly in Switzerland, which is really cool. The accelerating adoption is also ongoing because they have this huge campaign with $1 million in rewards in partnership with Bitcoin.com. They went live in May 2025, so not even a year ago. So it's actually been growing really fast for the time span that it is live. And basically, Freedom Dollar is better than USDT/USDC in 3 main ways. It has provable reserves, not like Tether where they just say, "Trust me, bro, we do have the reserves." They can actually prove it via Zano's auditable wallet with a view key where you can actually prove that you have the reserves. So that's how they prove their reserves. It's fully private, whereas USDT and USDC are completely transparent. and it's unfreezable by design. There are no admin freeze keys. It just doesn't exist on the Zano blockchain. It will never exist. It's technically like impossible to freeze assets on Zano. Now, the next really interesting thing is Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is naked. It's a valuable asset, but it has zero privacy once again, right? Bitcoin has that issue. Ethereum has that issue, which is a DeFi hub, and Solana is the fastest growing blockchain network out there. But once again, it's 100% transparent. Every transaction is permanently public. If you want privacy, you had to give up exposure to these assets until now, because you can actually bridge them to Zano, which I will show you here. Right. So meet confidential layer. Confidential layer enables you to upgrade your assets with privacy. You basically have Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, you bridge it to Zano, and boom, it becomes private. So these are the assets that are supported. And basically, you now can keep price exposure to these assets, but gain Monero level privacy on them, right? So before you had to choose by either holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of your, whatever your favorite asset is, or, you know, sell those assets and purchase Monero or Zano or Zcash or anything else to enjoy privacy. But now you can actually have the best of both worlds. You can still be exposed to Bitcoin or Ethereum as an investment, but bridge them to Zano to upgrade them with the privacy of the Zano blockchain. There are no custodians for this bridge. The validator network is based on threshold signatures, with 66% of the consensus is required by Shamir secret sharing. So basically, no central authorities ever in control of the funds. It's like distributed. The access key is like broken into like 100 pieces, and every validator has like a small part of this key, and only if they come together they can actually approve a transaction. It's backed completely. Every asset that lives on the Zano blockchain is backed one-to-one, because the way it works is, for example, if you bridge Bitcoin to Zano, the Bitcoin gets locked on the native blockchain, the equivalent amount gets minted on the Zano blockchain. So let's say you bridge half a BTC gets locked on Bitcoin, half a BTC, we name it BTCX, gets minted on the Zano blockchain, and you can then send it around, do anything really that you can do with it in the Zano ecosystem. And then only when it's like bridged back to the native Bitcoin blockchain, the synthetic, the wrapped version gets burned on the Zano blockchain, and the real asset, that half a BTC, gets unlocked again and sent to any wallet, to your likings, any blockchain address to your likings. So this way, the assets are always fully backed one-to-one. It's permissionless as well. You don't have to do any registration, no KYC, no approval needed. You can simply go to app.confidentiallayer.com and start making use of it today. It also has an integration into Edge Wallet already. They were really fast with it. I really appreciate that, so shout out to Edge. And Bitcoin.com is also working on integrating this as we speak, and hopefully more to come. So now, what is this issue? This is about, let me check real quick, about Zano Trade. So your strategy is everyone's strategy. That is basically what's going on if you trade on public blockchains. You expose your strategy, you're vulnerable to EV attacks, bots front run your orders for profit, also known as sandwich attacks. Your portfolio is completely public for anyone to see. That all happens with transparent DEXs, of course, like Uniswap. And then you have centralized exchanges where I think those are even worse, because they're, you know, you usually have to link your identity to all your trades. So because they have enforced KYC basically on your account. And neither are you actually in control of your funds, because basically you give up your control to this third party, which is the exchange, to manage your funds. Well, we've seen with FTX how that can end. You know, someone can hack the exchange, take away all the funds, boom, you're left there. Yeah, that's no good. So meet Zano Trade. Zano Trade is a decentralized exchange that lives on the Zano blockchain based on ionic swaps. There are no custodians, no registration is required, just connect your Zano wallet, and also MEV attacks can happen because the swap details are not publicly visible, only to the participants. So it's true peer-to-peer trading between you and your counterparty, and these are a few of the examples of the pairs that are already available there. So you can trade Zano for BTCX, Zano for ETHX or SolX, or even for Freedom Dollar. So yeah, there are private alternatives out there that are way more safe for you as the end user. So I recommend you to look into that as well. Another really interesting thing that you can build with confidential assets are NFT platforms. So what are the issues with traditional NFT platforms? Your collections are visible, you become a target, all your history is basically permanently recorded, the same as with, regular transactions. So people can see that you have, for example, this really rare NFT that was worth like $1 million. And of course, that could put a target on your back. You don't want that. But also, like, more beyond art, like more simple use cases for NFTs that are actually, in my opinion, like these are very interesting use cases. For example, event tickets or airplane tickets. Imagine you book, a vacation to some country, and you have this NFT of an airplane ticket in your wallet, but anyone can see that you actually have this airplane ticket. So now people know that you will not be at your home, at your house. Boom, another risk, very unnecessary, can be avoided by using a private blockchain. So also for this purpose, private blockchains are absolutely a must. And of course, you can see here 2 more examples. Membership tokens, real-world assets, even property ownership could be hosted on a private blockchain. Now that is actually exactly what Obscura can do. Obscura is a private NFT platform that lives on the Zano blockchain. It hides your ownership, it hides your transfers, it hides your balance. Everything is obscured, as they say. Use cases for this, well, same use cases as before. Art collections, you cannot be censored for the art that you create, your music that you create. Community access can be used to give certain perks to communities, but also event tickets, loyalty programs, or even real-world assets like property, like I just said. So really excited for this one. This one isn't live yet. I mean, you can mint the Obscuras, but you cannot trade them yet. They're working on their trading platform as we speak, so I hope that goes live soon. The whole is greater than the parts, a complete privacy financial ecosystem. Well, that is what Zano is today. You can hold BTC, you can bridge it, you can trade it, you can collect NFTs. All of these have a shared anonymity set because every transaction is thrown onto this big pile, like I said. No opting in, privacy is just how it works by default at the protocol level, and you don't have to pay any extra fees for having private transactions. Now let's get into the future of Zano, because all that I just talked about is live right now. You can make use of it today. But there are some very exciting updates coming to Zano very soon. One of those is gateway addresses. That one should go live in just a couple of months. And basically it simplifies integrating the Zano blockchain for services by a lot. So the challenge right now is that integrating confidential assets with external services requires complex wallet synchronization, and this takes a long time, and it's just very inconvenient. And with the gateway addresses, your services experience instant sync times, which simplifies the integration a lot. No more waiting for wallet synchronization. So this applies to bridges, DEXs, centralized exchanges, and other services like payment processors. So hopefully we will see a new wave of integrations for the Zano blockchain with these gateway addresses going live. Well, here you can see what this enables. Integration overhead is reduced dramatically, better cross-chain compatibility, and a wider range of service integrations. So overall, the usability of Zano should go up a lot, hopefully over the next year or so. In the future, these could also be used as an execution layer too, but that's something for later. I will not get into that today. All right, so another really exciting thing is a new consensus breakthrough. So our founder, Andre, he has achieved a breakthrough in his consensus creation. So now, like I said, Zano is hybrid proof of work, proof of stake, but in summer, or depends on where you are in the world, of course. So let's say July 2026, we will hopefully by this time we will be full proof of stake instead of hybrid proof of work, proof of stake. And this optimizes our blockchain a lot. The security will be enhanced, so cost of an attack will be raised by a lot. So it becomes even more practical to attack the Zano blockchain. The block time, this is probably the most important one, at least for me. The block time can be reduced by a lot, and it will basically match transparent blockchain speeds. This is like the common trade-off that people experience today. They either go with a transparent blockchain that is very fast and scalable, or with a private blockchain like Monero, Zcash, Zano, but these are a lot more slow, basically. So this is a common trade-off, but with this consensus upgrade that Zano will have in July 2026, we can actually achieve block speeds of hopefully like 20 seconds-ish. And that's getting close to Ethereum's block time, for example. But that's not where it stops, right? The technology keeps improving. We keep building momentum, improving in production, how that will look like. Other cool roadmap items are the full chain membership proof update. This is something that Monero is working on, but we also plan to bring these to Zano whenever it's available, whenever we can, because it basically results in a hugely improved anonymity set and therefore better privacy. We also plan to launch a Zano Grants program, which should attract more builders to the ecosystem. So also, if you're listening, you have a cool idea that you want to build on top of Zano, let us know. Later this year with the Zano Grants program, you could actually get funded for projects that you want to build. Of course, there will be a framework for it. You cannot just, show us your hand and get a big pouch of money. That's not how it works. You'll have to build something first and prove us that you have good intentions. Oh yeah, but a lot of it is already in place, right? Zano is a solid foundation. Right now, today, infrastructure is ready and battle tested. We have bridges live. We have the decentralized exchange live. The ecosystem is ready to be used. We have real users. We have real transactions, real utility. And, it's being proven on a daily basis that it works as intended, because you can use it today, tomorrow, next week, anytime you want. Well, thank you, everyone. This was my presentation about the Zano ecosystem. If you're excited to learn more, here are 2 QR codes. On the left, you can see the intro page, and on the right, the link tree. The link tree contains all of our links to our socials and the communities where you can, talk with us. And on the left, it's an intro page that basically walks you through the ecosystem completely. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much, and have a look.
All right. Let's give a warm round of applause to Quentin. He could not be here, but thank you to him. And to the Zano team. Again, I encourage you guys to check that out. Go ahead and show the Zano website. It's zano.org if you want to learn more about it. I mentioned yesterday that they are one of our sponsors. And, we only work with sponsors, people that we actually believe in and that are supporting the same mission we're on. And I know that there's a lot of people in our crowd and those at home who are very anti-anything crypto, anti-anything blockchain. And there's a lot of reasons to be concerned. There's a lot of crap projects. There's a lot of scams. I get it. But to help you understand, for those of you who know that I haven't used a bank since 2008, one of the ways I've been able to do that, besides using cash, is crypto. There's opportunities where I hold Monero or I hold Zano, and then I can turn that into pesos, and we can pay our vendors, or we can pay for the translators. And again, one of the things that I think is the coolest about Zano, that besides the fact that it's got all the privacy side, I mentioned yesterday that they have a stable coin called Freedom Dollar. It's the letters are FUSD if you want to search it up. And all that means is where Bitcoin and others fluctuate with the market. So Bitcoin might be worth 95,000 today and then 85,000 tomorrow, and it goes up and down. With the Freedom Dollar, like other stable coins, it stays. So when they sent us $5,000 for our sponsorship, it was in the Freedom Dollar, and that means it didn't go up, it didn't go down, it stayed at $5,000 till we were ready to cash it out into pesos and pay our bills. And that's a really beneficial thing to have, because it kind of sucks if somebody sends you $5,000 one day, and then a couple days later, it's $2,000. Or, it's nice when it goes up, but when it goes down, it's not so nice. So I think that's one cool thing, that on their platform, they have built what they call the Freedom Dollar, which isn't like the USDT stable coins that, I think are definitely concerning. It's a stable coin that people like us could actually use, and it's privacy based. So check them out at zano.org. All right, we're going to play a couple of sponsor ads real quick, and then we're going to get to our next speaker, Patrick Amato, who's going to talk to you guys all about water, the importance of water, building filtration systems, and all that good stuff. So stay tuned, guys.
Since 2012, the Conscious Resistance Network has been an independent media organization focused on empowering individuals through education, philosophy, health, and community organizing. We work to create a world where corporate and state power do not rule over the lives of free human beings. Our motto is leading by example and helping others in their pursuit of freedom. Visit theconsciousresistance.com to find our articles, documentaries, interviews, podcasts, books, and more. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up.
Zombies crew. Make some noise for the We Are Not Zombies crew running everything. If you guys ever make it to Mexico City, go see them, go hang out with them. And just a little housekeeping, guys. Please do not approach this desk. Please stop coming up to us. Just kindly and honestly, stop coming over there. It's not helpful. If you need to talk to me or Ramiro or any of them, come see us when we're not there. You guys often come up to us. We're in the middle of a million things, like trying to make sure there's not an echo, trying to make sure everybody gets on stage right. It's not a helpful time to come to us. Please, thank you. All right, so I want to tell you guys real quick before we bring up Patrick about my documentary series. Some of you saw the conclusion the other day. If you haven't seen any of it and you watched the conclusion and you want to go back and rewatch it, thepyramidofpower.net is the website. I'll check that out, Ramiro. We worked really hard on that. So look, I had a friend build this like 3D pyramid. Scroll up and down the pyramid, Ramiro. You can kind of see, click one of them, and you click like whatever level, see, and it opens up that chapter. There's 17 chapters. So as you scroll down, you can start like education, whatever you want to do, and then it just kind of opens up. This is basically what we're going to make the DVD version look like too. It's going to have a really cool 3D menu that we're going to be selling soon. All 17 episodes are available for free except for the one that we played here exclusively the other night. That'll be available publicly March 5th. It is already available on the Civil platform. If anybody wants to support them, it's a platform I partnered
Chapter
with. You
8.
can watch all of my documentaries on
The
Amazon
prison
TV,
industrial.
Roku, Apple TV, all that
Uncovered
stuff.
how the
app is
Rockefeller
called
Foundation
Civil,
and their
CIVL. If you're curious,
Nearly
and if you
every
wanna sign up
aspect
for
of the
there, you
pyramid
can
of
go to
power, which has been mentioned,
civil.com/TCR,
the history of the international intelligence
CIVL.com/TCR. And exclusively to everybody here,
near the
those
top of
tuned
the
in,
pyramid
if you want a
and edge
50%
closer to
discount
the
off an
looming
annual
surrounding
subscription to
so-called
Civil,
false flag
if you happen to
attacks.
want to check out their platform, you can use the code
false flag
TCR50. TCR50. It's just
Teachers,
$5 a month, $50 a year. You get access to
and
all of
sports
my
coaches,
stuff, plus exclusive content and a
the
bunch of other
established.
cool documentaries they have. But if you just want to
Chapter
wait, the rest of
16.
the pyramid, it'll be available
Pyramid,
for free on March 5th.
Volume
but
1.
the entire rest of the series is available there.
When I
And
started
I think
this
I mentioned
series,
this the other
my
day,
goal
but the
was to
coolest experience for me that has, as I've been making this documentary over the last 5 years, is to see parents using it to homeschool their children. And that's been like a really humbling experience when somebody said, oh, I had my child watch episode 10 and do a report on it. And in fact,
Chapter 8,
in May of
the
last
banking
year,
card. We uncovered how the Rockefeller Foundation and their General Education Board, as well as the
he reached
Carnegie
out to me and said,
Foundation,
hey, my mom
used their
follows your
funds
work
to
and
shape
she
the
had
direction of
me do
education around
reports
the
on the
world,
pyramid of power
focused on the
for my
education
homeschooling.
system,
And I'm
the
graduating in
establishment
May. Will you
media,
come to my
and big tech
graduation?
firms.
And Miriam and I went to his
Each of these
graduation and got
pieces
to
of
hang
the
out and
pyramid
meet the
of power
family. It was
have an
really
immense
cool. So,
influence on the
and I
minds
had
decisions
people reach out
of
to me and
people
say, I'm
around
a
the world.
substitute teacher. The other day, I played one of your documentaries to the kids. And so it's getting out there. And so I appreciate everybody who is watching it and sharing it. It's available for free.
Chapter
It's there
2,
for you.
Big education.
Thepyramidofpower.net is the website. So thank you guys
Public
for that.
schooling is a ritual
And,
that most
yeah, I think
children
we're ready to
endure
go to
the most impressionable years of.
I think we're ready to go to our next speaker. We're going to hear all about water. For those of you who've been the last couple of years, you've seen Patrick out there in the vendors area. He usually has his water filtration system set up. He's very sad he couldn't be here in person. He'll be back soon. But for now, please give Patrick a warm welcome as he presents to us virtually. Patrick Amato of Freeway Systems.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for making it. I'm sorry I couldn't be here with you this year, unfortunately. But I am looking forward to sharing some of what I've learned over the last couple of years that I've been working on this project that many of you have seen me with, as Derek mentioned. So overall, I just want to start by saying that I started with water filtration. Actually, after coming to this conference several years ago to do a talk, I started building my own device, which you've seen out there. I got interested in basically the same core needs that we all have toward water, cleanliness, being able to be sure that we're going to have it available, the cost, all these things. And I wanted to basically learn more about it. And in the process of doing that, I realized how bad the solutions that we have available right now are. Basically, we're either stuck drinking out of the tap, comes with its own set of risks, or still billions of people in the world are drinking more or less unrefined water sources with sediment and protozoans, bacteria, viruses, all this stuff. So the reality is that many times when we try to solve these issues, we're looking at highly commercialized sales pitches, things that are designed to sell us stuff that we don't need, things that are overstating the quality of certain products and the effectiveness of certain technologies. And so what I think is really important in the face of all that is to have certain basic knowledge about how these things really work, so that we are able to judge for ourselves and make good decisions about how we protect ourselves against threats that exist. So to start with, I'm going to talk about a couple things that I think, actually, for this presentation, I want to start by talking about the consumer products that are available, not just as products that people use on a daily basis, like things that you might put in your fridge and fill with water, the common pitchers and stuff. There's reverse osmosis systems. There's a wide range of different solutions that fit different lifestyles and different types of water. And so it's, I think, less than it often should be discussed that no water filter is good for all types of water. And so the first step that you have to really think about in determining what type of water filter will be appropriate for your use case is by thinking about what kind of water do you have. So if you are on tap water, for example, you're going to be looking at a very different set of risks than if you're looking at something like other types of water. Here we can see the well water, municipal water, and surface water are the two or the three different sources of water. Whether you get it from a tap or not, it all comes from either the ground, the rain, or out of a river or lake, something like that. And so we can just generally refer to a chart like this to see what range of threats are we going to be dealing with. If you are on well water, for example, you don't need to worry about algae, cyanobacteria, stuff like that, because it can only grow in the presence of light. But you will need to be very aware of lead, arsenic, nitrates, things like that find their way into the groundwater, either through leaching from rocks or from runoff from farms, from mining, tailings, all kinds of different threats. And so that actually leads into another core component of this risk profiling, which is to think, where do you live, right? If you live in the mountains around mines, you're going to be dealing with arsenic. You're going to be dealing with lead. You're going to be dealing with all kinds of, cadmium is a common one. If you live in the Midwest or in an agricultural area of Mexico, you're going to be dealing with glyphosate. You're going to be dealing with pesticides, nitrates, things of that nature. If you are in municipal water, you will get some of everything, unfortunately, because all the municipal water sources come from a range of different primary sources. And so in addition to the added ones like chlorine and fluoride, you're going to get the some of the standard things that are in here, minus the most egregious and largest size, because municipal water usually uses a technology called ultrafiltration, which is, if we go here, basically we can see the different size comparison of particles that we might encounter in water. So silt, or small sediment, ranges in, basically you'd find 10 to 50 to 100 microns. It becomes sand at a certain point. Bacteria are filtered by even like ceramic filters, which are common. Things like Berkey's will remove bacteria. But viruses are much smaller, and most ceramic filters will not reliably remove viruses. And so this is where we get into the range of trying to think about what kind of water do we have and how can we profile our risks. If we are going to be responsible for our own water filtration, and then we need to be fully thinking about all the risks that can come from that. And so by using municipal water, if you have an option, you do get a certain level of safety net, you could say, because municipal water will have a certain basic safety standard. But you also get things like fluoride and sometimes chloramine, which is a modern alternative to chlorine, which is harder to filter out than chlorine is. And both chlorine and chloramine can lead to disinfection byproducts in the water. And there's a range of different ones, but they're basically chemicals that are produced by the reaction of chlorine with existing contaminants. And it might, from a public health perspective, sterilize that water, but it still leads to chemical contaminants and chemical toxins that then will affect the people who drink that water. And so this is why it's particularly important to have carbon filters. So a properly designed filter system is going to have basically 3 core parts, and that's the pre-filter, which is going to remove sediment, and then you have the carbon filter, which is going to remove your chlorine and chloramine and dissolved contaminants, such as many pesticides, oftentimes a lot of different runoff and like petrochemical waste, things like petroleum byproducts that find their way into the groundwater will be removed by carbon. And that's why if there's one thing that every filter system needs, it's carbon and as much as possible of it. Because the more carbon you have, the more reliably you will remove all that stuff. So another thing that I want to address, and I wish I had better slides for this presentation. Unfortunately, I had some technical issues just before this. But one of the things that I want to address that's particularly important when you're selecting a water filter and looking for products commercially, like there's a huge number of products that try to pretend to be like a highly engineered new product, a new technology. And for water filtration, I would say as one of the general rules for selecting good water filtration, you want to stick with something that's reliable and proven. And so things like sediment filters are reliable and proven. There's polypropylene ones. There's in fact, here, I will show you. Let me see if I can change the screen sharing here. If the audience is interested, and I probably have no way of getting direct feedback on this, I will show you guys how you can actually go and source components yourself very easily for this. Because one of the things that I have run into talking to people a lot of times is when you go out to buy water filters, you will often find that they're all selling more or less the same things. If you look at a lot of the common products on Amazon, on eBay, on different water filter depot type websites, you will find a lot of the same products with the same Chinese plastic housings. Oftentimes they're sold by wholesalers at $50 a unit and then resold on Amazon for $300. And so what I'm trying to convey here is that in a large degree, the industry is filled with scams and misrepresentation, in part due to the fact that it's implicitly hard to verify whether a water filter works, because the water oftentimes looks clean going in, looks clean coming out. And absent having money for expensive testing, no one's going to know how well it works. No one's going to know when the filter really expired. And so this is a huge issue. And it's one of the reasons why I recommend to people to go out and try to solve your own water filter issues. Try to learn about it, because you'll see oftentimes that you can get the same things. That's why, like in the filters that I have developed, I use granular carbon for the primary pre-filter, because granular carbon is very cheap and it can be found anywhere. And so likewise, if you are designing a larger system, which I guess this conversation is more about, you should absolutely tend toward using the most common components and the things that you can easily find online or in any stores. And so what I mean by that is, now look at this. While I was talking, I was pulling up Alibaba. And so I'm going to show you how easily you can look up and find in many cases, these are the same OEM providers that are selling these products to middlemen. Like, look at this. You could find 100 just like this on Amazon for $250 each. Many of them probably sourced from these same exact suppliers. And so this is actually, in many cases, how I went about developing the product that you guys see outside in the atrium of the conference hall, is looking on Alibaba and finding suppliers for different products. Like if you're looking for a home scale system, you're looking for something like this. If you are building an eco-village and you need several home scale systems or a pallet of them, I recommend that you look to something like this. And this one is EU, but you can find it for US, for Mexico, whatever the case may be. Oftentimes they even have warehouses in different countries. So right here, this is a good example of a system that you'll see this type of, let's see if I can't make it bigger, but if you see these blue canisters here, these are the most common standard ones for medium sized systems. So if you're building a whole home system for a household or for your retreat, your retreat center or something of that nature, you're going to be wanting to look for these types of things. So like I just searched RO system, but we can look up RO system, big blue. You can find exactly the thing that you're looking for from any of several different vendors. Look here. These are probably several 100-gallon per day systems. So if you had a whole retreat center with hundreds of people, 60 liters per hour. All you would need to add to this basically would be a remineralization setup. And so what I recommend is going and doing the sourcing yourself here, understanding the needs that you have in terms of your water. And so I can talk about that some more, but like if you are dealing with groundwater out of a river, a stream with sediment, you're going to want to focus on having a strong sediment filter. If you are, say, in the mountains getting groundwater from a spring, it's going to have high mineral content. And so you're going to be looking for a water softener resin system. And the great thing about this is that you can find all kinds of different ones, and water softener systems actually are amazing because you can use them many times. You can recharge this resin with salt water just by passing sodium through it, and then it will recharge it and it'll be ready to remove the scale from your water for, depending on your flow rate, et cetera, of course, but several more months. And then when it's exhausted, you simply prepare a solution of sodium and you pass it through the filter again, and you can start to use it again. And as you can see, there's lots of different options ranging in scale. And yeah, it's very easy to import and set these things up yourself, to be honest with you. Most of the time, all you're doing is basically connecting tubes to each other with a pump. And you can talk to manufacturers and they will tell you all about their specific systems and how to set them up and how to use them. I think that in large part, this is an opportunity that is focused on larger systems. And so what you'll see a lot of time when you try to get something like this, like if you were to try to get this installed purely domestically in the United States, you would go to a water filter install company. They would charge you a couple $1,000s for the materials plus labor, and they are just buying the materials from a middleman who's importing them from the same OEM providers that are making this. Whereas if you just import this directly, I would say any semi-capable person talking to ChatGPT could get this set up in less than a day and be operating and manufacturing enough clean water for a whole group of people, 200 gallons per day. So that's a pretty good size system. It has large filter reservoirs, so you'll have a fairly long time between filter changes. You can see it's recommended for hotels, households. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is that there's a huge number of options, and you don't want to look at things like that. That's too big. Some of these you have to have discretion because obviously these are intended for industrial plants. But this I'm giving as an example because it opens up a wide range of things that historically haven't been available to individuals or small groups of people that are operating in a small scale, like a household or a few households at a time, wouldn't be able to import systems directly like this from manufacturers abroad. And now you can. And so this kind of thing really is a step toward having water independence, because when you get the right system with the right media, you can replace that media locally. You can service the system yourself. You're not at the mercy of consumer companies that are trying to get you to buy a product and then buy expensive filters forever. Like there's a lot of them. Berkey is a great example where the filters are inordinately expensive. In fact, actually, here's another one. Check this out. Berkey filters, I believe they're BB9. You can find, in many cases, the OEM producers of these types of filters. And I would guess, yeah, so normally when you would want to validate these companies, of course, and maybe get a sample. But if these are professional, highly rated water treatment companies with a long history of producing these types of products, there's a good chance that some of the legitimate Berkey filters are produced by these same OEMs. And so I recommend doing due diligence, but you can see how much when you take off the consumer premium, how much the price of filters drops. And I think that this is a huge public health good, essentially, because the reality is when you talk about water filtration, the number one thing is just putting enough filter material between the water and the whoever is drinking it. And a lot of times people will buy water filters and then they'll overuse them to the point where they become less effective, or they will, in doing so, they will neglect to replace the filters either because of cost or because of it just is, something else to do. That nullifies the benefit of the filter. And so when you're looking for filters, you want to look for things where you can secure the replacements at a reasonable cost, where you're going to use them and replace them consistently. And I would also recommend, in almost every case, that you undershoot the manufacturer's recommended lifespan for filters. I think that in a ideal case, you find a way to get filters at an affordable price, and then you change them frequently, because that's how you truly prevent yourself from drinking contaminants. Although I will say, while I'm on the subject of these Berkey filters, I don't recommend these as a standard filter, because they don't have a small pore size membrane. They have about 0.1, which is right on the edge where it may be effective at removing most viruses, but it may not be. So I would recommend, more so than this, ultrafiltration. So UF membrane is also a good choice for water that either is being pre-filtered for going into reverse osmosis, or just for use in drinking. That being said, there's a catch to that, which is that membranes like this, and I'm calling your attention to this specifically because I think it's very important. A lot of people get tricked by this. This here, if you ever see a membrane that looks like this type of spaghetti, it's like a bunch of filaments kind of, and it's flexible. You do not want to use that. That's what's called a PVDF membrane, which is polyvinylidene difluoride. And that is actually a PFAS material, believe it or not. And so this is actually the answer to the question, how does all the PFAS get in the water? Well, in many cases, membranes like this are being used to filter our water. And PVDF membranes are the standard for most wastewater treatment facilities. And that means that not only is the water already having PFAS in it from industrial contamination, et cetera, but we're actually filtering the water with PFAS. Like the filter itself is made of polyvinylidene difluoride. And the difluoride is, fluoridation is one of the central concepts that makes something a PFAS. So that's something to avoid. This is why I recommend ceramic water filter membranes or reverse osmosis. Although I do think that, like I said before, ultrafiltration can have a place in pre-filtering, but it shouldn't be used as the sole filter. Things like this are more expensive, but these are intended for higher volumes. But you can also find things like this, 10-inch water ceramic. This is actually, I believe it's this company that I've talked to before, and they actually are the OEM provider for the Dalton water filter company, which is affiliated with Berkey. And so these same candle things, I think you pay $28 for or thereabout from the official site. And you can go to the OEM and get them for a fraction. And then if you're willing to take a little bit more risk, or you can look at these other companies, there's going to be other ones that primarily maybe sell to the Chinese market, and they'll have even lower prices. Generally for the same technology, often manufactured on the same machines in the same factory. If you talk to some of these suppliers. And so you do need to do some level of due diligence, ask for certifications, which most of them have, but just to make it clear that, look at this again. This I wouldn't necessarily trust at $18, but just to make it clear, like what we're talking about here, what makes up a water filter is not expensive parts. I mean, look at this. It's nothing but plastic molded tubes and fittings and a valve and a sheet metal bracket to hold it all. And so you go to some American companies and they will import this and charge you $150 for it or more. And it's a scam, flatly. So anyway, getting back to our kind of core objective here, is how do I, a random person, go from having land or having a place to live, having a house perhaps, and wanting to be safe with my water? How do I myself go through the process? I would say there's a few different steps. Number one, you want to think about what your water comes from. Is this well water? Is it groundwater? Is it municipal water? Then you want to look into the filters. Look on Alibaba like I was just doing. Look for carbon. Look for a high quality sediment filter. If you're on a high mineral groundwater, you're going to want to get a water softener to combine with that. You might want a UV stage, and then basically just connect the tubes together. And you can read things online. I will probably be putting out more content about this because I'm told I need to do that. But the reality is that and this is what I want to be the takeaway from this whole talk, is that setting up your own water filter is easier than you think it needs to be. It's not a challenging process. It's not something that you necessarily need a professional to install. If you're doing a whole home system that's plumbed into your shower and maybe into your sink, it has a separate one for reverse osmosis, then you might need a plumber to help you figure it out. But I strongly recommend that people try and build their own water filter systems and just source things yourself, look and learn how to do it, put it together. It's kind of like Legos, to be honest with you, especially if you choose systems that have 1/4 inch fittings or 3/8 inch push to connect fittings, which is most of them on the market if you're looking at consumer to small commercial scale. And so you just get some of these tubes and you can connect anything to anything. And you just have to remember to put the little clips in them to keep the tubes from popping out. And then you can just make whatever the system is that you need. And with the availability of intelligence today with AI, I strongly recommend people talk to AI about it, because this stuff isn't rocket science. And although you might want to completely believe AI for medical advice, stuff like that, but for water filtration, it knows a lot about how to design the filter system, what filters to put in, which order, things like that. And so I think that this is in some ways the golden age of people being able to do things yourself. People, you being able to take responsibility for your own health and make your own water, and not have to rely on buying water at a high price, and not knowing what's in it, not having to rely on the government to provide it to you safely, which of course is not a good idea. And yeah, that's the goal of this. I don't know if I have a way of taking any questions up here, but if people have questions, I would be happy to answer them. And then I will also, if we have any more time, I'll talk a little bit about the products and the projects that I've been working on with water filtration personally.
Okay, excellent. Hey, yeah, let's take a couple questions here from the audience. Thanks so much for your presentation there, Mr. Patrick. I think it's important that we have a diverse range of technologies, and what is more important than water, because it fuels the most important technology of all. One of the most important. Let's take two questions real quick. Go ahead. Come on up here. You got to come on down and talk into the mic. Come up on stage. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Give me a round of applause as I fall backwards. Okay, yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
Could you address the problem or the question of minerals in well water that might be bad, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, great question.
Thanks.
So oftentimes you'll find that well water has, with any hard water really, right? It could be agricultural water, it could be springs in the mountains. It'll have high levels of magnesium and calcium, which clog up your water filter system and your plumbing. And they're known to destroy hot water, like your boiler in your house, and to create all kinds of different issues. They'll jam up reverse osmosis membranes. So what you need for that is a ion exchange resin. And so I briefly showed that before, and I can do it again just a moment. Basically what it is it's a special type of plastic that has sodium ions on its surface. And when the water flows over it, it differentially prefers magnesium and calcium ions. And so it switches the sodium into the water and it picks up the magnesium. And so after it gets used, it gets saturated with magnesium and calcium, that it took out of the drinking water. And then what you do is you just mix up a batch of sodium, like salt water, and you flush the salt water through it, and it takes all the magnesium and calcium out, and it replaces it with sodium, and it recharges the resin so it can be used again. And so you can use this resin tens, dozens of times, depending on the type of resin that you have. And there's different brands and stuff, of course. But that's what I would recommend for hard water.
Okay, we have time for one more question here. If somebody wants to come on up, you got to come on down to the Price is Right stage and make yourself known. What's your name?
Gabriel,
And where are you from?
Celaya, Guanajuato.
And what's your question? Hey, my great-grandfather's from Guanajuato. Yeah.
That's great.
We might be family.
We might be. Yeah. My question is, I liked very much the slide with the 3 circles. And I was wondering, how would the 4th circle look like if it were talking about rainwater? Because sometimes I think rainwater is one of the cleanest, but maybe not. So I wonder what's in there and what should we do? What should we do with it?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I would say with rainwater, the reason I didn't include rainwater in there is because rainwater is a very small percentage of the water that most people interact with in reality, because groundwater and it is rainwater. That's where the rainwater ends up, is in the rivers, in the lakes. And so if you catch the rainwater just right off your roof, then it's the cleanest water that you're going to get, primary water. because it hasn't dealt with the ground. It hasn't gone through the pesticides and whatever that's in the ditches that it runs through on the road and stuff like that. So that's great. However, recently with the increase in artificial cloud seeding and other solar radiation management activities and spraying of agents over the agricultural areas of the world, there is the potential for contamination of rainwater with aluminum and some other metals. And of course, you always have potential for contamination with microbes as well. So I would say that rainwater should be basically treated like groundwater that doesn't have sediment in it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the questions, and thanks for your presentation. You shared you wanted to take a moment to share some of your products. Is that the case?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Let me open up the thing. I'll just run through briefly some stuff about that if we have time. How many more? What's the timeline for this? Okay. So, can you guys see that? Basically, what we are working on is trying to produce a portable water filter that can go anywhere. That you can see here is a good example of the different water filter technologies and their effectiveness. So the traditional one is boiling. Carbon and UV is pretty good in many ways, very efficient, but reverse osmosis is the best for removing all of the microbes, chloramine, fluoride, and things of that nature. And so this is the core product that you guys saw in the entryway out there, and it's designed to be a go anywhere thing that you can carry with you and set up in just seconds and produce clean water wherever you find yourself, from a river, a lake, tap, anything of that nature. And so this product is now available in small scale in the United States, and we're working on shipping to Mexico. There's some difficulty, but yeah, I recommend if anyone is interested, please reach out to me at the Freeway Systems. There's an email on the website, or my Telegram, I think, is also available. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to be able to provide that to people and have people try it and give feedback on these sort of, this is, I would say, like a prototype level version of this. And we're working on bringing to market a more mature product with some of the early issues resolved very soon. So thank you for everyone listening. And I hope you learned something about water filtration.
Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it going for Patrick, the water guy. All right. I want to thank everybody once again for being part of the People's Reset activation, and want to encourage you. Remember, this is a great opportunity to connect, to network, to feel the vibe, to dance. Shout out to all the folks that get down on the dance floor. It's really special. And I could tell, too, sometimes it takes me a little bit to get going, unless I've had a couple margaritas. But I just want to applaud everyone that is pushing beyond their comfort zone, and they see folks dancing, having a good time, and they want to get out there, but maybe they're worried they'll look silly, but they hop out there anyway, and then in a matter of minutes, they're having the time of their lives. So shout out to you guys for being here. One of the things that we want to work in more this year is some musical interludes in between some of the speakers. And so to give you guys some incredible music from a guy I got to sit next to last night and get to know, we have Brendan Daniel here that is going to perform a song for y'all. So give it for Brendan, ladies and gentlemen.
Check, check. There we go. There's a song I wrote called Good Intentions. Everyone's electric. Everyone's connected. Heavy metals, flower petals, Mexico and Texas. And I don't have the answers. And I got lots of questions. Like, is the needle hidden in the haystack of that sentence? And if I keep on digging, I'm destined to lose it. You open up a notebook and start drawing up conclusions. There's paradise above us and parasites among us. A pair of eyes to see the lies or wires that hold the puppets. There's only two true kinds of money. It's your time and your attention. And war's a game we play. It's always fought in 5 dimensions. And I'd like to help you out and point you in the right direction. But the road to hell, no doubt, it's always paved with good intentions. Good intentions. Well, I'm living in this world and out of it. How can you find yourself if you just keep on running? And freedom's another word for nothing left to lose. Love is the answer, but it's never the excuse. Well, I'm living in this world and out of it. And how can you set something free if you don't love it? Freedom's another word for nothing left to lose. Love is the answer, but it's filled with all these good intentions. Thanks, everybody. I got a little bit of merch left over here in the back left at the Sound Path table, so please come get a shirt or a CD. That'd mean a lot.
Give it up
Thanks,
for
John.
Brendan, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick before we walk off. Where are you from?
Massachusetts.
And why do you think art is a useful expression of this message of freedom and peace and love?
Because art's in the middle of the word earth. It's part of who we are and what we are.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thanks, man. Likewise. Love you, John.
All right, give it up one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's one of the things I really appreciate about this event and the artistic expression that Derek curates is that a lot of other conferences, I mean, remember, this isn't a conference. What is it? An activation, yeah. A lot of other events are just people talking on stage at you. But this is much more integrated and interactive. And it's not just about learning, it's about enjoying life and actually practicing what it's like to be free and to really soak in the moment, which is really what it's all about. Because in the present moment, I don't know any other time that we're more free. We're not free when we're worried about the past or anxious about the future. It's right here, right now, where the true magic's at. So thank you again for being here, and thanks for giving these incredible speakers and artists your attention. Our next presenters are somebody who, two folks that have been part of this People's Reset movement for quite some time now. They have presented their incredible project at the second event when it was the Greater Reset, and the third one as well. And we're going to be talking about a really exciting blockchain technology. And this is a project that really is community driven. Bitcoin started out as community driven, and then it kind of got a little corporate, and now it's like BlackRock coin. I'm still holding though, for sure, but it's not what it set out to be in my view, which was more revolutionary. This is a project that it has the metrics and the systems built in place for it to remain a community project. And it's much more than just a currency to exchange goods and services. It's really a tool to accelerate all of this cool freedom stuff that we're doing. And we are really grateful that they are partnering with the Freedom Cell Network to create a platform where the Freedom Cell project can be accessible in a completely decentralized way that can't be shut down or censored. So really excited to share more about that project and how you guys can be a part of it as well. But without further ado, let's bring on Jason and Mike of the Quartal project. What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Johnny boy?
Yeah, so we're really excited to have you guys here presenting, and we're even more excited about this partnership that we've launched with Quartal and the Freedom Cell Network. So I understand you guys have a presentation. You want to share more about the project and how people can get deeper involved?
Yeah, we are kind of flow organically, John. We don't have an official presentation, but we're here to get everybody updated with where Quartal is now, sort of where we are in terms of our growth since we presented. God, was that 3 years ago? We haven't quit. And like you were saying, yes, it is a community-driven project. There's no VC involved. There's no Silicon Valley. There's no capitalization at all. There's no financialization from any big firms or anything. And that's very important because Quartal from the very beginning has been designed to be protected against that securitization that Bitcoin's seeing, that all of crypto's seeing, because this isn't a crypto project. This isn't even like a traditional blockchain project. This is literally a replacement of the internet. And back in 2000, what was that, 17 or 18, when I started working with Jason, I remember him telling me, hey, I'm working on this thing. It's to replace the internet. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, the internet is the internet. Why do we need to replace it? And he was already way ahead of the game explaining like where all of this centralization was coming from in Silicon Valley with the technological industrial complex, with the financial industrial complex, with the military industrial complex. And I started opening up my mind because I was seeing the power of blockchain and like the ability to have no middlemen and transparency and all this beautiful stuff around blockchain. But I was sort of like, the baby with the new toys and not seeing all the danger that was coming out of essentially centralizing blockchains, which and using financialization and corporatization and the military industrial complex and all this stuff to essentially take all the beauty that blockchain can offer and turn it into a literal control paradigm, a matrix that we are now seeing. Like, we are seeing it unfold with things like the Genius Act, and we'll see where the Clarity Act goes. And in this sort of hyper digitalization of the world, we are starting to see now how that is really coming to unfold as a reality, as we have this sort of stable coin, emergence that the U.S. government's pushing, that the U.S. will be the leaders of crypto. Well, that's all to and really bring us to what Jason was seeing as a sort of prison system way back in the day. So we haven't stopped working. And basically, the whole point of Quartal is to do it right, to stick with first principles of decentralization, with the cypherpunk sort of mentality of not ever going centralized in terms of how we're capitalized, how we're financialized, how the network is run. It is truly P2P, node to node. And of course, what we talked about last time when we were with you guys on stage there in Texas is that the consensus is time driven. It's not run by proof of work or proof of stake. And that's really important to understand because that ties to nature, that allows for a true decentralization where you can't get control over the consensus via
fiat money via a military industrial complex, taking over mining, etc. It really distributes it across time, which nobody can control. So I'm very excited about where this project has been going. The community has just been plugging away, and we've really come a long way since we presented back, what was that, in 2022, Jason, haven't we?
Yeah, so we have been in a massive state of development for the last couple years, especially. And we are to the point now to where I can firmly say that we're almost at the final stage of the project's development, the final milestone, which is huge. And as you know, we've talked about this before. The last component is to have a mesh network, which will allow us to get away from IP addresses on the internet and to allow us to have a completely separate sovereign infrastructure. And that is something that we are developing now, and it's being implemented as we speak. But what we are currently working on the DevNet and is being rolled out as Quartal version 6.0, which is going to be very, very exciting, is a massive improvement to the speed of QDN and the underlying networking, which will allow us to basically max out connection speeds, which means that when we have all this decentralization and you've got a website or an application that you're accessing, each node that accesses it duplicates it. So on the internet, you're dealing with a server and everyone accessing that server. So you've got to deal with the speed of that one server serving the data to everyone. On Quartal, we've taken the internet and flipped it on its head. Every single person that accesses data makes another redundant copy of it. So now with the new maxing out of the connection speeds, we are literally going to be able to be faster than Web 2.0, which is huge. And we are going to be able to build things like real-time data. So for calls and things like we're doing right here, we will be able to do that on Quartal with no servers, no middlemen, and nothing in between at all, right? All P2P. Now, this is the key, right? You've got to get rid of any middleman in between any interaction on your digital world. And that is what Quartal does. We have removed all middlemen from the scenario. So you, as a normal person, can come and do what you do on your computer on a regular basis on Quartal with no middlemen involved at all. And we have now replacements for apps like X or Twitter. We have a replacement for that called Quitter, which is hilarious. And there are many, many other apps that are developed now on Quartal. So people come into Quartal and they don't really like start digging in. You guys need to dig in. That is what the key is. And we've now got the Freedom Cell onboarding and a new onboarding method that will allow you to get set up on the network really easily. So there's no excuse anymore. We need people, we need users to come and join the network. This is the only way that we can free ourselves from what we've seen for many years coming down the pike. Everyone sees it, everyone talks about it, but then that point where you need to do something about it, it seems to get lost on a lot of people. Now, we have made it so simple to get rid of that concern. And that is what we need to do. And so we need all of you, everybody who hears this, to come and join the network. Like Mike was saying earlier, it is a community-based project. This means that you need to come join us, join the community, and help us to get rid of the problems in the digital world. No more hacks, no more data theft, no more holding data hostage. All of these things, because of the way that Quartal is built, not possible, right? So on top of making everything a lot better, we have secured it and make it so that you don't have to worry about all the things you have to worry about on the internet, right? So this is a massive thing, guys, and we really need all of the users from the internet to come over to Quartal and help us grow, right?
Well, that's the thing, Jason, is a lot of people are sealing their fate through their addiction to convenience. And that is by plan. That is by design. You will own nothing and be happy through your convenience of your smartphone. And with Quartal, what's such a different paradigm of why it changes the game so much is literally you own all the data that you choose to follow. So it is a different mindset. It does require a bit of hard drive space, but that's okay. Thanks to Moore's law, hard drive space it's deflationary, and it's pretty easy to own a 4 terabyte drive these days.
Most people have way more free space on their computer than they'll ever know what to do with, right? So why not put that to use in actually owning your digital world, right?
Well, what's funny too is I live sort of more, not off grid, but I live in the mountains and I don't have the greatest internet at times. And so I can't tell you how frustrated I am when I'm trying to stream a movie late night and all of a sudden it pauses and on Apple or Netflix or whatever, because my internet is shaky when I just am yelling at the screen. Why can't I just download you? Well, in Chordal, that's how it works. So essentially you own anything that you follow and anything that you watch or on any of the apps. And what's powerful about that is, like you said, we're creating redundant copies of the disappearing internet. Many of you have probably heard of this theory of the disappearing internet. And that is by design as well. So this is all about taking back ownership of our data, ownership of the world, because I know a lot of people, I do a lot of these events and festivals and stuff, and a lot of people that are at this, I'm sure they're in beautiful Mexico, and I wish I could be there with you guys instead of in the cold Pacific Northwest. However, if all goes well with Chordal this year, Jason and I will be there in person onboarding people next year in Morelia, eating tacos with you guys. But I know a lot of you are like, oh God, it's tech day. It's tech day. They're going to talk about, nerdy tech coding stuff. Meanwhile, what's going on is literally how many of you have a phone in your pocket? How many of you are involved with this tech on the daily, even if you're a farmer, even if you're trying to do your homestead? That is the nature of this world. And why not embrace something that is designed like Chordal to be more organic, to be more in alignment with natural law, to be in the private? That's what I love about Chordal so much, and why I try to tie it to, the everyday existence here outside of, I'll let Jason talk about the techie stuff, which is important, but I want to talk to those who are sick of their smartphone, are sick of being constantly pulled into these centralized systems, which is by design, because in a debt system, which is what is controlling the world as we speak, the debt system innately will collapse because it must continue to have growth. It's an never-ending growth cycle, but nature doesn't work that way. Nature is regenerative, right? So what they've done is they're hyper-digitized the world, bringing us into a virtual environment so they can continue this debt system to perpetuity. This is something that's never been done before. They're figuring out how to stop the debt from collapsing by shuffling everybody into this hellscape virtual environment that is centrally controlled. What Chordal does is it gives us an off-ramp out of that so that we can continue to communicate, we can continue to do commerce, we can continue to enjoy the fruits of the internet, which allows us to connect across time and space, to share ideas, to share media and creativity and art without having to be there physically in person. That has been a renaissance. And so they're trying to close down on that, use it to continue the debt system, and so that we can essentially become feudal serfs in this new neo-feudal digitized world. Well, Chordal is the complete solution for that, because it allows us to have an agorist market that will allow you to sell your products, whether that be from your farm or from the art that you create, etc. And maybe we can show that briefly today. It'll allow you to do everything the internet does. It'll allow you to share your videos that you own and that those who follow you own. It allows you to have completely encrypted and private email conversation that the NSA can't listen to. That's point-to-point encrypted with no middlemen, no email servers involved, right? It allows you to create communities on there and have flowing chats just like you would have on Telegram or Discord and these, but that are encrypted and secure. So it's already there. And as Jason said, we just need people to start to realize that this matters, that I know a lot of you don't want to talk about tech. You don't want to deal with it, but literally you are using it on the daily, unless you happen to be one of those really awesome, special old school people that aren't, and props to you. But generally we are using that day to day, and they're just going to continue to ramp up that siloing us into these centralized systems we've all heard about it. The digital ID, the social credit score, that's being corporatized in the West, and that's being funneled through the stable coins and all that. That's happening, and that has to happen through the traditional internet. So that's why Cordal matters so much right now.
And a lot of the other so-called decentralized projects are straight up lying. And that's another thing that's very difficult for me personally to get the differences across to others about what is different about Cordal, right? Because they'll hear all these other things. Oh, this other thing is decentralized and it was nonsense and it was built into the browser and da 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 da. No, guys, a lot of these other things have just, I think that they were kind of built to do this, is to kind of bastardize the terminology of the blockchain space and the decentralized space so that people don't understand what anything is anymore. And as I sit here today, I have seen countless projects, thousands of them, and not a single one actually does everything in a decentralized fashion. Cordal is the only one. And that is a huge thing. And none of them can allow you to register a single name, have that name that then publishes a website, applications, public and private data. You can use it as a domain name. You can use it as a username, and you own every single piece of data that you publish underneath it. You can do whatever you want with it forever. You don't have to pay continual hosting fees. You don't have to pay continual fees for anything. And in the future, with the mesh network, we're going to get to the point where your connection can pay you. You can become a mentor on Cordal, and your connection can pay you instead of you paying your connection. So we are literally flipping all of this nonsense on its head entirely, but yet still allowing you to run and do everything that you do on your normal computer on a daily basis the same way, right? And what Mike was talking about with the power usage and all of on that kind of thing, right? These kinds of devices, small handheld devices, can run the entire network. You can run this on a 25-watt solar panel if you wanted to, and devices like this can run the entire network. So that is another thing where we don't require huge power costs either to run the network, and that has to go hand in hand with nature, right? So it is really, really important for everyone to kind of start understanding the differences between what we have on Cordal and what is going on the current internet, right? All of this stuff, oh, click here and you can do this really easily. There's power behind that, right? And they're taking power from you.
Massive data centers sucking up incredible amounts of water and energy so that you can jump onto ChatGPT and have a little discussion at night about your favorite movies or whatever. And that's fun. That's whatever. That's convenient. But what is that leading to, right? When we can run our own, we can talk about AI, maybe decentralized AI, our own LLMs, right, on Cordal, and have it powered through the distributed network. And that's like the important understanding here is it's distributing the power across all the nodes, just like nature does in a forest, right? It's distributed across all the trees through the mycelium network. There's not like central power hubs in nature running everything. I mean, you do have the sun, but yeah, very solar punk. I know a lot of you are familiar with that term. It's a very solar punk concept, right? Where we literally be a farmer or homesteader and be on the network via a Raspberry Pi, like Jason was showing, that doesn't cost much. It doesn't take much power to be able to come in and at least do your general activities that you want to do, which is have secure communication, do some commerce, have a little bit of online community without being tracked and traced and surveilled, and leasing all the data and selling basically your digital self into a network that's creating a digital twin of you so that it can formulate once again that virtual reality panopticon of control and financialization and tokenization, as they want to tokenize every physical asset now to further the debt system. That goes all out the window with Cordal. It's a holistic digital environment where everybody has equity, everybody has ownership based upon the amount of time that you put into the network, and it has its own currency. And the powerful thing here is, Jason, we were talking about this a bit on our Q-mail back and forth yesterday, that we're here to support Bitcoin. right? Bitcoin does have some power to it in that it is an extremely valuable saving asset. And with the proof of work, even though, we chuckle about how there's like 6 or 7 mining pools that are basically running all of the mining now. And
it was a great proof of concept, right? And the original idea behind Bitcoin was really, really good. And the thing about it is that it kept trending toward more centralized control. And that is where the problem came in. And plus, it only has the ability to transact value, right? And with the limited supply, it makes it a really good digital gold. And so that is what it is, right? And trying to make it into something else, it's just not built for that. And so that is what Quartal provides. And Quartal can be the infrastructure for Bitcoin to have a lot more, right?
Yeah, it's an amazing asset, and it should stay single layer. And unfortunately, for it to be more like a currency, it has to go second and third layer. And the problem with that is when you're getting into those layers, you're dealing with, once again, corporatization. You're dealing with literally corporations creating apps that have then infrastructure that relies on the World Wide Web and the traditional internet. And then you have shareholders, and you have direct ties to fiat capital that requires that. Even if you're being financialized through Bitcoin, Bitcoin has inherently now been derivatized and financialized and securitized to the point where the markets will drive those investors crazy when Bitcoin gets dumped and pumped, because it is using Tether to do that. And now with USAT being, through the Genius Act, now we have all this ridiculousness where it's being tied to U.S. securities. And so the U.S. taxpayer is now basically funding this entire operation so that they can buy more gold. I mean, the whole thing is anytime that you're now interacting with Bitcoin, and in many ways, unfortunately, you're feeding the beast, which is a huge bummer. But that being said, we still support Bitcoin. So you have a Bitcoin wallet on Quartal. You can bring your Bitcoin in and have it secured. And then you can P2P cross-chain swap that to court to use as the currency versus the US dollar. So
right.
And every asset needs a currency for value. There must be price discovery, right? There needs to be a unit of account. There needs to be a medium of exchange. Bitcoin needs second and third layers to be a medium of exchange. Court doesn't. Quartal is a single layer operating system, which that means it is truly P2P. It doesn't require additional layers on top of it. That's really important to understand. And so when you can cross-chain to Court, now you have a utility, true coin, that is essentially finding its value, finding its price, not only through commerce on the system, right? On Quartal, using the different shop Q apps and stuff where people are selling physical products using Court. But also think of this, a currency that's running the future P2P private and like true freedom internet. Like that is a lot of value, because you need Court to do things like comment and, all the little microtransactions.
Publish data, publish apps,
data,
all of it.
Exactly.
And so it literally powers the infrastructure. And so that's where the value comes from, right?
I just want to say this one point, Jason. I'll turn over to you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather have a currency that is finding value running essentially the new base infrastructure of a true internet versus a currency that's being manipulated, pumped and dumped, printed on demand, and all the nonsense of both fiat and like Tether and all these stable coins, which can be programmed and manipulated and have no true value. Like that value is based upon the market and, casino money, versus a value that is finding its true source of value through meaning, through like, I enjoyed this video that you put out, and so I'm going to put a comment on that, which is going to cost me a little bit of Court, right? Or I'm
going to send you some in a super like, because I liked your comment. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a whole new paradigm. It's a whole new way of thinking about how we interact with each other, how we use the internet, and yeah, it's still so ahead of its time, but very, very, very quickly, the world is thrusting people to find Quartal.
And so I put up a link. I'm not sure if they can share that on the screen, but Quartal.dev/onboarding Or if you are from the Freedom Cell network, you can do Chordal.dev/freedomcell, and that will take you to the onboarding process that I mentioned earlier. And this will walk you through getting set up on Chordal. You guys there with your phones now, if you have an Android phone, go to Chordal.dev. We have an Android native application now. So you guys can actually join Chordal on your phone. If you want to, right? So we have come a long way with developments. The new interface Chordal Hub makes accessing and using Chordal a lot easier. It's a lot newer, nicer interface. Makes everything a lot smoother and faster. And with the upgrades we're doing for Chordal version 6.0, things are about to get incredibly fast, and I'm very excited about that. So we will not have to sacrifice anything. When you're used to dealing with the speeds of the internet, people come to Chordal and then have to wait a couple minutes for a video to download. If it's a large video, they're like, oh, this takes forever, right? We're about to cut that time in fractions. We have actually gone 10 to 15 times faster on our tests, sometimes even faster than that. Depends on, we can literally now max out connection speed. So it's very exciting for me as a developer. This is a huge milestone for the project.
This will make the QTube experience so much better, you guys, for you. Those
absolutely.
Are familiar.
Yeah. Oh, and we got casting working. So now you can take and play a video on QTube and cast it to your TV. So that was an exciting thing we did the other day too.
And,
but yeah,
ideally, I just want to say, when Jason,
go ahead.
With the Android app and stuff, I mean, obviously we are making some concessions for adoption. However, you know, we obviously recommend you'd use a de-Googled phone, like an Above phone, right? And, you know, to access that. But essentially with that, you're still working with your node, and it's still decentralized in that sense, but we are making some concessions because we need adoption. Like we said, we need users coming into the ecosystem, because with every new user, the network gets stronger. So really important for people to be able to access it, because that is a reality. A lot of people are busy right now due to the stress of this world and are on their smartphones. So now Chordal is much easier to access via Chordal Go, which is a really cool extension that works on the Brave browser or Chrome browser that will allow you to access your node from the convenience of your phone. And then of course, as Jason said, that app, and we are working on light nodes as well that could eventually run on a de-Googled phone.
Right. Yep. Light nodes will be nodes that do not require synchronizing the chain. So that's going to be necessary for things like a mobile device, because you're not going to want to synchronize the entire chain on a mobile device. But anyways, I wanted to kind of share a video. I don't know if it's a good time to do that. I wanted to show kind of some of the things that are possible to do on Chordal now. So give me just a second, and I'm going to share my screen. If I have window, here we go. Wow, I have too many windows open. I have a lot of windows open. Okay, hold on. Maybe I should have tried to do this before just doing it live, huh? Okay, it's not allowing me to share my screen very easily.
Looks like
that's
okay.
Not cool. I can't find my it's not showing the window that I need. So okay, hold on, that's great. Let me try closing it and reopening it.
Basically what we want to show here is a user created video that is just highlighting all of the cool functionality now available on Chordal, all the different Q apps. It is a fully open source environment where anybody can come in that knows how to code in JavaScript, can create beautiful apps.
Here we go.
Okay. And
okay, so let me see. Should I make it smaller? Does it look better like that? Okay, hold on. Let's see. So if I go here, and QTube, I actually can.
The one thing this won't show is it won't show the new Freedom Cells Q app.
Right.
But that is something maybe we could highlight towards the end too while we're screen sharing. And that is something that's very, very exciting that John was talking about before we came on, and to be able to now have to port over your online communities that you might be running on Mighty Networks or Circle or even WordPress, to just have it be completely decentralized. And then also, once again, bringing that community into an ecosystem that is holistic and authentic, that is built around meaning and not built upon scarcity and debt, right? And to have the ability to have that free flow of creative currency, and then to be able to have that seamless connection into all the other Q apps, which we'll show you in a second, really opens up the community to thrive in a way that you just don't have on that more traditional internet, where everything's siloed into different servers, into sort of different applications. Imagine having only one login too. Like, how annoying is it? And this is just some practical stuff while Jason's figuring this out.
No, I'm ready to play the video whenever you're ready. Yeah.
Okay, I was just gonna say, how annoying is it that we have to have 1,000 logins and passwords? Like, I use a 1Password app on my, just to be able to access all these different applications online, right? Like, that's what's beautiful, is you sign in with your private key into your through your Cordal signature into the interface, and now you're there with your identity, with your name that you can create, and there's no KYC, there's no know your customer, right? Your identity is whatever you want to create in terms of what you want to do on Cordal, and now you can access everything like we're going to show right now.
All right, so this is the authentication process. Takes you to the dashboard, and he goes into Earbump, which is a music playing app, and he does a search for Prodigy and plays a song.
This guy must be in the X gener like me.
Right? I was like, oh, as soon as he played that. Can you guys hear the sound?
We're going to just have to narrate over. I don't think they have sound, which is fine. So we don't get to hear.
Okay, well, it's playing the Prodigy song now.
That's the other thing too, is the apps will run in the background while you're doing other apps.
Right. So he's opening, you can see here, he's got multiple tabs that he's opening. And this here is QFund, which is a decentralized automated crowdfunding platform powered by ATs on Cordal.
Which just means, explain AT real quick.
So ATs are a smart contract language that is
here. Pause the video, Jason. Can you pause the video real quick, because he's flying through stuff, and I think this is a really good tour of what Cordal can do. But it'd be good to just explain that. AT.
So yeah, okay. So actually, ATs were the first smart contract language, right? And until Ethereum came and turned smart contracts into something completely different that is not validated by consensus and able to be controlled by admins and all this nonsense. This was the original smart contract language. And what it can do is automate different transactions. It can do very simple things, such as in this case, for QFund, it holds funds that were sent to it. So you create one and you say, this is a Q fund for whatever purpose, right? And people can send court to it. And then when it gets to the end, there are two different types. One of them, it will either get to the end and get to the max that the person set and pay out to the creator, or it will not get to that and refund. Then there's another one that will just pay out regardless, right? So there are two different types. You can choose which one you create, and you can create that automated decentralized crowdfund, right? So nobody controlling the funds, just an AT that's doing it, and it can only do what you program it to do. And in this case, it's going to either pay out to the creator or refund to the people that donated, and if it meets the goal or not, right? So yeah. We can do a lot of other things with ATs as well, like decentralized automated escrow and all kinds of other things.
Versus a completely hackable and programmable smart contract like you have on Ethereum with these running all these tokens and billions of dollars of finance, with literally they can reprogram on the fly.
I've seen it to where those tokens disappear from wallets magically without anybody saying anything about their wallet, right? And that is not blockchain. That is not what blockchains are supposed to be, right? If I don't sign a transaction with my private key, nothing can happen on my wallet. That's how a blockchain works. So they've taken it and completely bastardized that concept. And that's what I was talking about earlier with the bastardization of all this that's going on. It's absolutely mind blowing that this stuff is allowed to continue and that people are okay with it. And it's got so many people that use these things. And I've even tried in multiple different ways to use different things that were so-called on Ethereum. For one, they're not on Ethereum. There's so many different ways that they're not on Ethereum, but I pretended, right? And I tried to use them. Man, they are a nightmare. I've not gotten a single one to be able to work without huge amounts of effort. And it just blows my mind that this is where all of the people in the crypto space are. I do not understand, right? And I don't even like to consider Quartal a crypto anything anymore because it's just been so destroyed. It is not the same at all. Quartal is a new universe. It is not a crypto anything. But yeah, anyway, so do you want me to continue on the video?
Please do.
All right. So yeah, this here. Okay, so what they did, I'll move it backwards just a little bit. So they opened up Q Search, which is a search engine powered by the people, right? You've got to publish the indexes for the search. He searched for Jurassic Park, which obviously people should know what that is.
And just to be clear, that's the search engine across Quartal.
Yes, it is a search engine for things on Quartal. Yep. Goes to the iconic scene in Jurassic Park.
So this is QTube.
QTube.
Which completely replaces YouTube. Which ironically, and we use their tools against them. So yes, the People's Reset is currently on YouTube, but if we do our job right, Jason, the People's Reset can very well be on Quartal next year.
Right. And the recordings can be right now. But yeah, the streaming, the live stuff, absolutely. We should be able to do that by this point next year. Definitely. So it just goes through a couple playlists and so forth that he's got saved on QTube. And as I was saying, the speeds of the loading on all of this is going to be much, much, much faster in Quartal 6.0. But as you can see, it's not all that bad right now. Then he goes to Q Shop, which is a shop application that Mike was talking about earlier. You can come and create, your e-commerce, whatever you want to call it, on Quartal. And there's the Goldback store there where you can trade Quart for Goldbacks. This is a actual dispensary that has come and put their presence on Quartal, which is quite unique. All right.
And I've tested and I've received.
Right. Multiple people have said that it's quite good. Actually, I've not myself, but yeah.
And you can, what's great, if you want to pause it, Jason, real quick.
Sure.
So that's just one iteration of an e-commerce store. Now there's others that are like a Bazaar that's just launched, like an Amazon type interface. This is, once again, guys, this is a fully open source, permissionless ecosystem that anybody can come on and develop apps on, and basically it's a free marketplace. So whatever apps are the best coded with the best interface, like, we're still really early days right now, so a lot of these look rough because a lot of these were actually just proof of concepts that the dev team put out. But if you are an app developer and frustrated with all of the BS you got to deal with whether that be the Apple Store or traditional server costs and hosting costs and all that, come over to Quartal and start having fun. And, we need really kick-ass apps in this. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge part of the future of Quartal, is having that sort of really dynamic e-commerce. I call it Q-commerce, ecosystem that will allow people to actually have an agorist, marketplace on there. And, when you do purchase things, you can purchase in the private as well through R currently. Through the pirate,
you can have an entire account on Quartal that's completely private, right? Like, so, and I've got multiple accounts. I've got hundreds of accounts, right? Like, some of them with varying levels of privacy, right? So some of them, people have no idea they're my accounts, right? And so you can be as private as you like on Quartal overall, right? I wanted to kind of show this too. So these are super likes, and you can see quite a few people here have super liked this video. And so you can actually send Quart to the content creator in a like this And we're going to have a lot of other methods too in the future to be able to earn in court for, various different things that you can do on the network. So people thinking that they, aren't going to be able to make a living or whatever on Quordle, you absolutely can, by being a content creator or by being a developer or by being all kinds of different things, selling your wares or whatever you want, right? Like it's definitely possible right now for us to replace 90%, if not more, of what is done on the internet. So
There's a new Substack like Q app being launched soon that will allow for authors and content creators to create a subscription model like you would do on Patreon or Substack, which is really exciting.
And that's going to tie in very well with Quitter, which I just opened. And I'll show you that more here in a second. I also opened up the Freedom Cell Community Network app. And now we have some milestones here. So if you guys are from the Freedom Cell Network, we only need a few more people here to join, and we will build the geography component for the Freedom Cell app. But this app is just a basic application that allows for announcements to be made to the network. It also allows for threads, which are essentially, you can think of it like a Reddit-like forum to be posted, and there are actually quite a few there. There are also messages. This is a completely encrypted messaging system that actually has encrypted identifiers too, which means that people can't look at the transactions on Quordle and figure out who is messaging whom. So that's actually a really cool, unique application that's built into the current Freedom Cell app. As you can see, there are quite a few threads here that people have created. And you can go into those and communicate with those people or create your own very easily just right here. So that is the current iteration of the Freedom Cell Network application. But once we get a few more people here to join, then we will be building the geography component. And once we get 100 or so more, we will do the full Freedom Cell Q app. So yeah, if you guys are part of the Freedom Cell Network, please join to make that next milestone complete for the Freedom Cell Network. And I'll go back here. So now
Can I just say one thing,
ahead.
Jason? That geography concept's really powerful because once again, we're tying back into the real world, and to be able to have a secure place to find each other, and to do it in a way that's not being tracked and traced on the traditional web is important because we do need to tie into the physical world. We do need to meet like you're doing in Morelia, Mexico. We do need to continue to be human in the natural organic world. Quordle is just to facilitate this across time and space. The idea here is that we're not trying to become like this virtual space. Like we are trying to be, sort of like what I envision with like what I'm doing. We're trying to do with Music and Sky and building the Music and Sky Village is having these nodes of these villages all across the realm connected through Quordle, so that we can do commerce and have conversation and communication across time and space, but in our own little physical pods. So very solar punk in that idea. So that geography element, which made Freedom Cells so unique back in the day, will just be so much more secure and powerful on Quordle than on the traditional internet.
Absolutely. And so I was also just scrolling through Quitter here, so you guys can see this is literally just like an exact clone almost of Twitter or X, but ours is actually a lot better because there's no limitations on the length of publishes. We can obviously tie videos directly to videos published on QTube or anywhere else on Quordle. You can have the same kind of hashing and trending and stuff like that, but there's no algorithm deciding which stuff gets displayed. That's all done by the user. So it's going to display whatever's published. Yeah. So it's a massive way for you to get off of the internet and get over to something that is not going to be controlling your every move and taking the data that you give them by accessing their things, which is not a thing on Quordle either. That metadata simply doesn't exist. And they are using that to control you. So let's get away from that and move on to something that does not do that. This is a way to do that, right? So we'll go back over here. And now this part of the video, they're going to, this is Qtrade. This is the trading platform, or one of the trading platforms that exist. And you can go here to trade the 6 supported coins right now directly for Quart cross-chain. This is an app called Q Bubbles, which takes a second to load because there's a lot of data. But this app shows all of the minters on the network, and it will display them like this in a bubble format. So you can see who's earning more based on their bubbles. And as you can see, the distribution for Quartal is very equal and very good, right? So we don't have like you have on most other projects where you've got a few people at the top that are earning way more than everybody else. On Quartal, it's very distributed and very even.
Once again, that's based on, if you want to pause it, Jason, that's really important. That's based on time. So that is a leveling system based upon how long you've been supporting the network, running a full node and taking part in consensus. And that is important because that's a huge securitization element to Quartal, unlike proof of work, which is sort of real time in terms of how much fiat money or legacy Bitcoin you can put into your mining apparatus, or work directly with a technocratic state to provide energy resources to take over mining hash power. Right? You can't buy your way into the security here. It's literally securitized through time. So like there are level 7 and level 8 minters that have more weight on the chain because they've literally been involved with the project minting for the last 5 years, or since we launched 5 years. So you can't manipulate time. At least I don't think they have a time machine. So that's a really important idea. And then, of course, it's not stakeholder capitalism like Ethereum, where you essentially have proof of stake, where you can just buy your weight in now, which is just a terrible idea. So and then we do have sort of an elder group of trusted. There is trust involved with Quartal in that in order to become a mentor, you have to go through a process where you prove yourself through sort of how you interact in the community, how you've commented, if you've posted stuff, to prove you are an actual real person that is a real human, real living man or woman that's here to do to be honorable and to take part in consensus. And then once you're approved, there is basically a group of elders. Well, I like to call it like the elder circle that is can be voted in and out as well.
They're called the Minter admins, and you can see the slightly larger bubbles here. The Minter admins actually get paid for their role as a Minter admin. They are, as Mike was saying, they are earlier members of the community in most cases. They were voted in by the community, and there are 2 different groups on Quartal that are special, if you will, but I don't really like that terminology. But so we've got the dev admins, as you can see, the purple circles here. They are the developers of the project, and there are multiple of them, and they make decisions in group approval format as well. So 40% or more of the developer admins must make decisions together, like for pushing out updates to the network. And the same idea applies to the Minter admins for determining another minter. So you will use an app called Q Mintership to request minting rights, and the Minter admins will decide whether you are, ready for becoming a minter, and they will vote you in by the same group approval. And this group approval concept is basically like a multi-signature transaction, but a much better type of multi-signature transaction. And we are going to be leveraging that group approval for a lot more in the future. But yeah, I wanted to just point out how balanced the rewards are on the minting on Quartal. So in most other projects, you're going to see like 3 massive bubbles and then a bunch of little tiny ones, right? On Quartal, it is very balanced and very even as far as the rewards. Now, the larger ones, obviously the developers and the Minter admins, they get paid for their work, which is fair, right? And the rest are leveled minters who have just been helping to run the network, right? So if you guys want to become a minter, all you've got to do is come in, start using Quartal, make publishes here, or make comments on QTube, or anything, literally anything counts as activity on the network. We need people who are actually using Quartal for its replacement internet capability and not just wanting to, you know, make money, which is a term that I really don't like either. Yeah.
Contribute in a real way, because the Minter admins are pretty sharp, and they'll see if you're just trying to spam things and throw things in just to get approval to start minting. That won't cut it. They're pretty sharp with that. But the idea here is this: it's just about coming and starting to contribute to the network, so that mainly this is a securitization and make sure that bots and stuff aren't coming in to try to hijack and become mentors. So, and this is something I want to stress. Quartal is a living and breathing, evolving ecosystem. And that's what's cool about sort of the leveling system, to allow the governance, is to allow us to evolve over time with new challenges. Unlike something, you know, like Bitcoin is really in the power of it, of course, too, in a different way, and why it's just a good, solid saving money system, is that it's really hard to change. But Quartal is evolving through its governance, and this allows it to be a breathing, living ecosystem. And so, yeah, that's something that's really unique for a blockchain, but is something that's been proven so far. Haven't had any double spends or any issues security-wise so far, and we don't plan on having any of that in the future because of this time securitization. So, but it also allows us to have levels of weight for voting and to do all sorts of cool things down the line if we do need to evolve and change things.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So do we have time? They changed the way I was seeing things. Are they? I was just
I think
wondering.
We're good still. I think we still. I don't know, how much more time do we have, John? Is anybody out there?
If they just changed the way it was looking to me, so I was kind of wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long, if we have an hour or what, because Jason and I can talk all day about this. I mean, this is sort of our life, and you know, it's just so exciting to finally see this thing all coming together in a way that we envision. And, you know, to be able to have the you guys there, John, you and Derek, to support us and to believe in this, and to have Freedom Sail move over and really start to see this thing grow into a true living network where people are transacting and communicating and sharing in a way that's holistically driven and secure, is just, it really brings a smile to my face, my brother.
And you bring a smile to my face. You too, Jason. Give it up for the Quartal guys. Really incredible community-driven project. So we have less than 10 minutes left. I'd like to take a couple quick questions. And if we could try to answer the questions as quickly as possible, maybe we could fit in 2 or 3. First, I do want to share, though. Give it up once again for Jason and Mike, because you can tell how much work they're putting into this project.
Not just us. We've got a whole bunch of people who put a ton of effort in.
What we're going for here is reciprocal. So as you can see, they're building the platform and putting in the work, but we need the community to put in the work, which is far less work than what they're doing, to simply host a node. So let me see a show of hands. How many people have a cryptocurrency wallet? We need to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. How many people feel a little bit overwhelmed by this kind of technology and maybe haven't dabbled? Okay. Of the people that, keep your hands up, put your hand down if you've tried to set up a wallet but had some problems. Okay, so the majority of the people feel a little bit overwhelmed by it, but you haven't tried, and this isn't a give you a hard time kind of, well, it's a little bit of giving you a hard time. I just want to encourage you guys, it's if you feel uncomfortable with technology and you start to learn these kind of things or set up a wallet or even set up a Quartal node, you may feel some discomfort and there may be some friction, but it's through that friction that you're able to learn. And the beauty of a project like this and a movement like this is that you're not alone. There's people that will lend you a helping hand. So Derek and I hosted a Freedom Cells International Conference call with these two gentlemen, and we helped set up. A couple dozen people got onboarded. I'm going to be hosting another one through Live Free Academy. If y'all want to join that, livefree.academy/newsletter, livefree.academy/newsletter. You can join my daily email newsletter, and we'll invite you to that. But you got to try, because you may surprise yourself that it's a little bit easier than you thought, or you'll run into some problems, but that's what life is all about. And you can learn from those problems, or you could seek help from myself, from other tech folks that are involved in the community. So it's a reciprocal deal, and we need more folks to set up and host a node, which I finally did just a week ago. So trying my best to practice what I preach a couple weeks ago. All right.
John,
so let's take a couple questions. Come up here to the stage. And thanks again, Jason and Mike. Really appreciate you guys and excited about this project. All right, we got all the questions. We got 3 here. Only these 3. We're running out of time, guys. So yeah. So come to the session. We'll do multiple things too. We'll do another Freedom Cell one. I'll make sure you guys hear about it if you're on the Greater Reset list or join the email newsletter for Live Free Academy. All right, what's your cue?
Hey, yeah, loving this platform. I'm wondering if there's plans in the future for creating nodes within nodes. So you've got this whole Quartal network, and thinking like the PMA kind of mindset, like if I were to create my own network of just my community, is that an aspect? Because I'm also thinking of security aspects as well, like who's all getting into Quartal. I don't have necessarily control over that, but I can control who enters my PMA.
Groups.
Yes.
That clear enough?
Great. You want me to take this real quick, Jason? Because
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I love that. We are huge fans. Can you hear me, John?
Yes.
Okay. We are huge fans of the law and moving into the private, and that is something that I'm actually working with like the Sacred Honor Educational Fellowship and lots of people that are developing the trifecta process that John's probably teased a bit at the event. And so the PMA with the ministry and the trust, Quartal is a perfect digital foundation for that. So we have what's called groups, where you can create your own group, and that can be private, and that would allow you to be an admin and bring in whatever admins you want. And within that, you can have your own community completely connected to a community app that Jason just worked on, that I'll be testing out hopefully this weekend. And then there, yes, you can have your own people come in, and they can literally sign into your PMA there, and essentially be engaging in the private. And what's even cooler is you're not doing commerce through fiat. So you're doing commerce through whether you want to use court, or you can create your own asset as well. So you can create your own sovereign asset, which is actually functions more like a coin than a traditional Ethereum token. And so, yes, we have now the capability to work in the private using a digital system.
Absolutely, yeah. You can have public and private groups. You can have them both work together. And the importer that I built recently, I made it so that you can literally just put the name of your community and basically click go, and it'll create a community app branded with your logo and everything, with the logo's colors all over the app, just like the Freedom Cell app there. And it gives you that landing app. And I'm going to continue to improve that as time goes on. But yeah, I wanted to make it as easy as possible for communities like this to be onboarded into Quartal. Absolutely, yeah.
Great question.
Okay. Yep. All right, we got 2 more questions. So we're going to need the elevator pitch answer. Come on up, ask your question.
I think you might have partially addressed my question. I have a retail business established 20 years. We've got clientele who would be interested in migrating into the private. So it would be parallel. We continue to do the fiat side, but do private as well. A lot of this is over my head, but I have a young manager who will get this. And the other aspect of this is that we've got hundreds of products, but some of them need to be locally specific. So we don't want to be drawing in, people who want to buy from us that we can't deliver to or don't have the appropriate solution. Is this what I'm looking for?
So
Is this a solution
yes,
to my
so there are multiple different apps right now that exist that you can create your presence for a store, right? And one of those that I'm actually helping to develop further right now is built as a design from someone who helped or contracted me to help them build it. And that does allow you to put in a location and you can search by location. And that is another app that is allowing this kind of thing to happen. So you can absolutely do that now with multiple different apps that exist on Quartal, or you can build your own app that you can make function however you like. And I would be happy to assist you in getting to that point. So yes, this is the parallel thing that you are looking for. This is the only parallel network that exists in the world as far as I've found. And yeah, this can absolutely facilitate that for you.
No tie to fiat, no contracting with the beast system, right? So basically you would, to come on and do commerce, they would need to come in with, like, we would say Litecoin. So you do need to come in with some other sort of cryptocurrency. And then you would be able to trade that for court, and or they could just start minting and earning court. There's lots of ways to earn court, but they would use court to purchase your products, or you could turn on your store to maybe take R, or I'd like to get Xano, and we could talk about Xano, getting Xano in Quartal for privacy stuff. So that we just have to keep that in mind. There's no fiat onboarding. There's no off ramps to fiat at all.
Right. Yeah. We cannot trade with something that is centralized. Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys, we got to be super quick with this last question. One more question real quick, and then we're going to wrap up.
I don't know if I'm understanding this in any depth, but I see this as a replacement for the regular internet. And I want to know if there's any difference in the EMF signature or footprint using Quartal than in using the internet as we know it.
Great question.
Yeah. Do you want to take that one, or you want me to do it?
So this is it's hard to answer this quickly because, okay, so currently Quartal is using the traditional telecom technological infrastructure of the internet. In other words, all the landline, you know, the all the funnels and everything have been laid across the Wi-Fi, etc. But it's funny, we've been talking about a couple things. One, with the mesh network, having a more low bandwidth EMF signature there, and then developing frequencies. And I have friends that are in this world that would, if you've heard of Rife technology and stuff, that would actually be much more beneficial in sort of how they resonate and how they transfer data. And then two, going back to more landlines and stuff, if we do our job correctly, and this is going to maybe blow some minds, but if we do our job correctly and allow for the old system to fall apart and allow for this to really, this holistic economy to explode, we will buy up all of that infrastructure and we will harmonize it using Oregon and whatever we need to do to try to make it more beneficial. So that is something that we talk about and that we are very aware of, the dangers of the EMF stuff.
Yeah, I would like to see beneficial frequencies be what power the mesh network in the future. Right now, we've got to work with what we have available to us now. I've also heard light technologies that you can connect via light. So there are a lot of things coming that will assist us in this final goal, but we're not quite to that point yet. That's going to be over the next year or so, and continuing forward from that point.
All right, give it up for Quartal, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and we got a new tagline. Quartal, the blockchain you've been looking for. Okay, awesome. One thing I want to express gratitude for the People's Reset, because there's all these great questions and we're bringing you the developers of these projects, right? If you want to talk to the developers of Bitcoin, you got to go to Epstein Island or be on the Epstein list. But literally Epstein was reaching out to the developers as early as 2011. And there's a little bit of chicanery going on there. Who knows? Is Jeffrey Epstein Satoshi Nakamoto? But Big ups once more for Mike Winter and Jason Crow. And as I shared before, remember, it's a reciprocal thing. We need you guys to host nodes so we can contribute to decentralizing the network. Before we wrap up, I want to invite you guys. I'm doing a workshop in the activation room. If you're curious about the private realm and how you can utilize a trust, a private membership association under the divine protection of a ministry in order to pursue your purpose, I'd love to tell you more about how to do that. Working on a big project as well, 216-acre development in Tennessee that's completely in the private realm. It's called Haven Village. That's going down 1245. Hey, we want to thank the folks that are on the stream. And, oh, yeah, go to the Freedom Cells website. Do you have that? Will you tell me, what is it? Quartal.dev? Quartal.dev/freedom cells. So this is a step-by-step instruction on how to onboard onto Quartal, host a node. It costs some Quartal to get started, but they'll actually send you some Quartal for free. You create your username, and then you join the app. And we're looking for a handful more people. Actually, we're looking for hundreds, thousands of people to join. They're going to build us our own app. Again, it's a two-way street. So the worst thing you could do is say, I don't understand, it's overwhelming, and not even try. Jason put together a step-by-step with screenshots and everything to make it as simple as possible. So the very least that we would encourage you to do is give it a try. And the worst that could happen is you're not able to get through step 6 or 7, and you reach out to somebody. They actually have a little live chat you can connect with as well, and they help you through it. So this is what it's like. You know, it's like choose your hard. This could be a little bit difficult, but what's going to be even more difficult is being left in the dark, not able to communicate with your freedom friends when the predator class clamps down and locks down again and shuts the internet off like they just did in Iran. Which hard? Choose, maybe it's a little uncomfortable to figure it out, or I can't talk to anybody and I'm terrified. So what's the website again? Quartal.dev/freedom cells. Quartal.dev/freedom cells. Take a picture, write it down, and join us. And before we go, we want to highlight some of the cool stuff that's taking place over in the kids camp. So this People's Reset and each People's Reset, there's more and more community activities taking place, from kids activities to workshops to music. So check out these cool pictures that the next generation is doing here. And shout out to Laney Liberty for helping to organize all this stuff. Pretty cool. They're hard at work. That was kind of creepy. They're hard at work. Look at that. Whoa, I don't want to go hang out with that guy. He's been going to some secret society meetings, hanging out with Stanley Kubrick. Right? Eyes wide shut. All right. All right, give it up for the kids, guys. We're so glad that they're a part of this movement. Thank you so much for being a part of the movement. Thanks to the live stream audience. Peace and freedom. We'll be back at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Central. We hope to see you with the second half of Empowered Technology for the People's Reset 2026. Peace.
Our power is in our voice. Our power, it's in our thoughts. Our power is in our actions. Our power, it's already innate in who we are. We are the earth. We are the sky. We are the trees. We are our ancestors. We are the future generations. We are all that is.